Okay, so I'm going to demonstrate a technique called deep transverse frictioning, which I use to augment my acupuncture treatments for a few different conditions of tendonitis, from the shoulder to the elbow to the wrist. Those are typically the three most common areas we use this technique for. As you know, tendonitis is a very difficult condition to treat with acupuncture by itself. So I found this technique to be extremely beneficial in the treatments, and actually can be used as a standalone treatment as well because it's so effective. So the first condition we're going to learn how to treat is the elbow, the diagnosis lateral epicondylitis. And I've seen it demonstrated on a number of videos, and I found it to be not quite as vigorous as it can be to be extremely effective. So typically when they demonstrate this technique, they do it very gently, and there's not much movement. It's just a very short movement like this. But what I found is that you want to have a larger sweep to the movement, and you want to go much more vigorously and much quicker, because the quicker the flicking, it's like plucking a string on a guitar. The quicker and faster the plucking is, the more dispersion of metabolites that form that are, when an inflammation occurs in this area, metabolites tend to cover this area. So we want to try and disperse those metabolites up. And so by a quick, vigorous movement in a transverse direction across the tendon helps disperse that inflammation. So what we want to do is hold the hand like so at the wrist with one hand, and then the other hand is going to try to sweep across the tendon. Now, with the elbow tendonitis, it tends to be in a couple different places, so it's very important to find out exactly which tendon is irritated. Now, typically it's this common extensor tendon that actually connects to the point on the lateral epicondyle, and there's a tendon that runs, we call it the common extensor tendon, that runs this direction. And if you sweep back and forth over the tendon, you want to try to get some feedback from the patient to see if that's the spot that's irritating them. So if that's not it, commonly it's more over here, it's more in the extensor muscles. So again, we want to try and find the tendons in this area, and we want to go in a transverse direction across these tendons, like so. I've actually also seen it in the back of the elbow, just above the olecranon here, and again, I want to sweep back and forth over these tendons, and just above the elbow here, olecranon, and see if that's where the inflammation is coming. Commonly, we also see this tricep tendon involved. So if a person comes with a diagnosis, a lot of times they'll be sent to us with a condition called lateral epicondylitis, and it can be a lot of different directions. So it may not be just right over the epicondyle. You need to kind of use your thumb and pluck and actually use it as a diagnostic tool. So this technique is really part diagnostic and part treatment. Okay, it does both. So first and most important thing is you want to find out where the problem is. Is it behind the elbow? Is it up where the tricep tendon goes up? Is it more at the common extensor site? Or is it more one of these muscles down here over the more of a forearm myositis condition? Okay. So what we want to do is, again, hold at the wrist with one hand, and with the thumb we want to pluck back and forth. Not too hard to start, because we're just using it more as a diagnostic tool, just to try to find out where the inflammation is at. Commonly this is where it's going to be, this tendon that runs here. And it's a plucking technique, again, very vigorously. We want to move with pressure, and the skin moves with the thumb, like so. And you apply it with pressure, back and forth, just like this. And you can see it's a pretty vigorous movement, as opposed to just this. It's got to be back and forth. The quicker, more movement it is, the more you're going to break up inflammation in this area, the more effective results you're going to get. If it's more down here in this area, same thing. We want to go back and forth quite vigorously, like so. Now, we don't want to spend too long here. You want to spend maybe 2 or 3 minutes, not too long. You can also switch hands. If your thumb gets tired, switch hands and do it with the other thumb. You can see how vigorous it is, back and forth. You can switch hands quite easily. If if it's back here, triple burner 10, you can just use your finger and do the same thing, back and forth. If it's over the tendon, you can use your thumb or your finger and pluck back and forth over the tendon. Anywhere there's inflammation. It's good to try and check all of those areas. You can have more than one site. So back and forth, vigorously, like so. You can actually twist, hold your thumb on a tendon too, and do a nice little stretch, like so. Stretch. Most commonly when people treat this, they are giving stretching exercises by the physical therapist, and usually they're stretches like this to stretch the extensor tendons, and then to bring the hand back this way to stretch the flexor tendons and muscles. But it's also good to stretch more of a diagonally across, so get the arm to twist and stretch this way. So this is a nice way to do it. You can just hold your thumb over the affected area and then twist the wrist. Hold. Okay. Another common thing I've seen when I've had people referred to me for this condition is they go to their physical therapist typically, and they're given exercises to do. They're given strengthening exercises to do. The last thing you want to do when you have a tendonitis condition is actually try to strengthen the muscles. It actually tends to irritate the condition, because this is usually an injury caused by overuse. So just giving more exercises to do is going to give it more use. And you want to do just the opposite. You want to give it some rest, let it relax, do therapies that help relax the muscles, relax the tendons so the inflammation starts to die down. So no strengthening exercises when you have tendonitis. You cannot exercise away tendonitis. You have to break up the inflammation most importantly. And this is one of the best techniques I've seen to do that. If you like this video, please subscribe and feel free to comment and share ideas about acupuncture techniques below. These tutorials are in correspondence with my book, which is linked here. Thank you for watching.